far to the north of the Viking world, where the land becomes nothing but endless ice and broken mountains, there lies a glacier the old maps call the Dead Glacier. It is not the largest glacier in the north, nor the coldest, but it is the one no one approaches. For centuries travelers have avoided it. Even the fiercest Viking explorers turned their ships away when the massive wall of blue ice appeared along the horizon, because something inside the glacier moves. The old sagas say the glacier was once a battlefield where ancient giants and forgotten gods fought during the first winters of the world. When the battle ended, the ice swallowed everything, warriors, monsters, and something far worse, something that did not die. For generations the glacier remained silent, until the cracking began. Hunters traveling through the northern ice fields started reporting strange sounds echoing across the frozen valleys. Deep rumbling noises like distant thunder. Even when the sky was clear, soon the glacier itself began to split. Massive cracks spread across its surface, glowing faintly blue at night like veins of frozen lightning. The people of the north began whispering about an old name, the shadow of the Dead Glacier. Most believed it was just another story from the old sagas, until an entire trading caravan vanished along the glacier's edge. No bodies were found, no broken sleds, only a massive trail in the snow leading toward the ice wall. In the northern port of Hrafnsfjord, a warrior named Ulrik Frosthunter listened to the stories carefully. Ulrik had spent most of his life hunting creatures that lived beyond the borders of civilization. He had crossed frozen seas, climbed black mountains, and once fought a creature made entirely of ice beneath a collapsing glacier. But something about this story disturbed him. Creatures that lived in ice rarely moved so openly unless they were waking up. Ulrik gathered his weapons and traveled north. The journey across the frozen plains took 2 days. By the time he reached the glacier, the sky had turned pale gray and the wind carried the bitter cold of ancient ice. The Dead Glacier towered above the land like a frozen wall stretching across the horizon. It looked as if the world itself had been cut open and filled with ice. Ulrik approached slowly. The glacier was silent, too silent. Then he saw the cracks. They ran across the ice like spiderwebs, glowing faintly with blue light deep beneath the surface. Ulrik placed his hand against the frozen wall. The ice was vibrating. Something massive was moving inside. Suddenly the glacier groaned. A deep, terrifying sound rolled through the ice as a section of the glacier split open. Massive chunks of frozen stone crashed down the slope, while a wave of icy wind exploded outward. Ulrik stepped back. From within the broken glacier, something enormous began to emerge. At first it looked like a shadow trapped inside the ice. Then the shadow moved. A gigantic shape slowly pushed through the shattered glacier wall. Its body was formed from black stone and ancient ice fused together. Jagged, frozen spikes covered its shoulders, and its arms were longer than the masts of Viking ships. Its eyes burned with a deep blue light. The creature stepped onto the frozen ground. Each movement shook the entire valley. The shadow of the Dead Glacier had awakened. The creature turned its massive head slowly, scanning the empty landscape. Then its glowing eyes locked onto Ulrik. For a moment neither of them moved. Then the monster raised one enormous arm and slammed it into the ground. The impact shattered the frozen earth. Ulrik barely rolled aside as the ice exploded beneath him. The creature moved faster than something that large should be able to move. Its massive hand swept across the ground again, sending shards of ice flying like arrows. Ulrik ran toward the glacier wall. If the creature had come from the ice, then its weakness might still lie there. The monster lunged again. Ulrik dodged the attack and drove his runic axe into the creature's leg. The blade struck deep, releasing a burst of blue light as the ancient runes activated. The creature roared. The sound echoed across the valley like a collapsing mountain. But the wound began freezing over instantly. This thing was part of the glacier itself. Ulrik realized the truth. To kill the creature, he would have to destroy the ice that powered it. The glacier behind the monster glowed brighter through the massive cracks. Ulrik sprinted toward the ice wall. The creature followed, its footsteps shaking the frozen ground. As the monster reached for him, Ulrik leaped onto a broken ridge of ice and climbed higher along the cracked glacier surface. The creature slammed into the wall below him. The impact widened the glowing cracks across the ice. Ulrik raised his axe high. Then he drove it deep into the largest glowing fracture in the glacier. The runes exploded with blinding light. The glacier screamed. The cracks spread across the entire frozen wall as the ancient ice shattered apart. Massive chunks of the glacier collapsed inward as the energy inside the ice erupted outward like frozen lightning. The creature staggered backward. Its body began breaking apart. Huge sections of stone and ice fell away from its arms and shoulders as the power inside the glacier collapsed. With a final roar, the monster shattered completely, its body collapsing into thousands of frozen fragments across the valley floor. Silence returned to the Dead Glacier. Ulrik stood alone among the broken ice, breathing heavily as the storm clouds slowly moved across the sky. The creature was gone. The glacier stopped shaking, but as Ulrik turned to leave the valley, he noticed something strange deep within the shattered ice. Far beneath the surface, something moved again, a darker shadow, much larger. Whatever had been trapped inside the Dead Glacier was not alone, and now the ice was breaking.